Today we are going to be solving the two-sum problem on LeetCode. It's LeetCode number 1. And the problem description here is given an array of integers called nums and an integer called target, we're supposed to return the indices of the two numbers in nums such that they add up to target. And we may assume that each input will have exactly one solution and that we can't use the same element twice to reach that solution. So say the target is 10 and there's a 5 in nums, you couldn't just use 5 twice to reach 10. It would have to be something more like 4 and 6. So an example they give is if the list nums is 2, 7, 11, and 15, and target is 9, then 0, 1 would be returned because 2 and 7 add up to 9, and the index of 2 is 0, and the index of 7 is 1. So if we think about what would be required to solve this problem, you can go about it by recognizing that each value in the list has an associated value that forms a pair to reach 9. So the pair for 2 would be 2 and 7. The pair for 7 would be 7 and 2. The pair for 11 would be 11 and negative 2. And the pair for 15 would be 15 and negative 6. And so every pair successfully reaches the target. And so all we have to do is log all these values in the pair 7, 2, negative 2, and negative 6. And then as we go through the list, if we encounter one of these pair values, then we know that those two can be combined to reach target. So you could go about this in a couple ways. You could create a list of those pairs, but the most efficient way to do it, and the way we're going to be doing it, is with a hash map. The hash map we're going to be using to solve this is one that has a key of an integer and a value of an integer. So this code is going to seem a little confusing at first, so we're going to work through it with an example to better understand it. We've got a method here that has two parameters, an integer array nums and an integer target. And the example we're going to use is one that has nums equal to the integer array 4, 5, 6, and target equal to 10. So within this code, everything is going to be done within a for loop that just loops through nums starting at the index 0 and going all the way to the end, incrementing the index by 1 each time. So within the first iteration of this loop, we're going to not pay attention to the if statement because that's checking if the map contains a certain key, and we haven't added any keys yet. So looking onward to what this else statement does, what's happening here is we're adding a key value pair to the map where the key is target minus nums of I. So what is that doing? If I equals 0, nums of 0 equals 4, we have target equal to 10. And so target minus nums I is 10 minus 4, which equals 6. So the key in this map is going to be 6 for target minus nums I. And then we have I just equals to 0. So the value for 6 is going to be 0. So we're just placing 6, 0 into the map. And so let's move on to the next iteration of the loop. Now we are checking this if statement where we're asking, does map contain the key nums of I? And so if we have I equal to 1, nums of 1 is 5, and the only thing we have in the map is 6, 0, and the key is 6. So do we have the key 5? No. That's going to get skipped over. We're moving on to the else statement. And so this time, we've got 10 minus 5, 10 for target, 5 for nums of I, equaling to 5, and then I is 1 this time. So we're placing 5, 1 into the map, and moving on to the next iteration of the loop, where now I equals 2. And so does map contain the key nums of I? So nums of 2 is 6. And this statement is going to be executed because we have the key value pair 6, 0. So the map does contain the key 6. So now we're finally moving into this if statement where we're creating a new integer array. And this integer array, if you remember from the problem description, is the indexes of the two values that come together to create the target. 2 and 7 came together to create 9, and so the output is 0, 1, with the index of 2 and the index of 7. And so we're creating a new integer array to pass in these indexes. So the first index is map.get nums of I. And so what's that going to do? If nums of I is 6, and we're doing a get with 6, then that's going to get the associated value for the key 6, and so that's going to get 0. And then the second index is just I, because that's what we're currently on. And so if the first index is 0, the second one is just 2, because that's what we're currently on. And so 0 is 4, second is 6, for 0 and 2. And so that's going to return 0, 2 for our answer. And although we always have one solution, just written into the code just to be complete is a clause where we don't have a solution and we just return a new integer array 0, 0. So let's run this and see what we get. As you can see, we get an extremely efficient solution running in 0 milliseconds.